Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
The storm moving through San Diego County has brought snow to the mountains, and even more is expected over the next 2 days. Thanks for joining us. I'm John Carroll, in for Maya Trabulsi. While the wintry weather meant classes were canceled in some rural districts, others took advantage of the snow. KPBS reporter Tanya Thorne joined 6th grade students in Descanso, and she shows us how their day went.
Snow, snow, and more snow. Students who went off to their 6th grade camp at Cuyamaca Outdoor School got a snowy surprise, thanks to the recent storm hitting San Diego.
This week was especially special because it snowed! Woohoo! So we're all super excited about that. We had a little bit of snowfall yesterday, and that was really exciting for the kids. And today we've got, probably 7 to 8 inches of snow.
Chris Pamantuan is the principal of the school and says snow days like today aren't very common.
We've had a couple of small snowstorms this year, just, maybe an inch of snow. The last one was a few weeks ago, and we didn't get snow down here in camp. But the last big snow like this was a couple of years ago. So this is really special.
And it creates a special experience for the kids.
It's your first time seeing the snow?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I thought it was really cool.
Were you expecting to see the snow when you were coming to camp?
I thought it was just going to be like cold and rainy.
And we got to see different kinds of snow because like yesterday there was like these little circles because apparently like the rain froze midway.
I like it a lot because it's my first time.
This place is cool. We got to sled. I didn't know we were going to sled. It was a lot of snow at the beginning. And then they plowed it, which was kind of sad.
Well, first it was really cold, and then I started playing it, and it was really soft.
Pamantuan says this group of kids got a camp experience they'll always remember. And that special experience is part of what the outdoor school tries to show them.
They spend the week with us, they eat their meals and stay in cabins. Our staff takes them out hiking and they learn science out on the trail, doing community science activities, and they get to play out in nature and really get a deep connection with nature and learn a lot about science during the week that they're here.
But she says the snow was more than enough motivation to get the kids outdoors this week.
They wake up in the morning and they look out of their cabin and they see snow on the ground, and they are cheering and yelling, and the first thing they want to do is go out in the snow and play in the snow and touch the snow and just be in it. But they are just thrilled. They're so excited.
Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
The cold weather means local shelters will be increasing capacity tonight. More than 100 extra spaces will be available. They're spread across 4 different locations in the downtown area, including Living Church of the Nazarene, San Diego Rescue Mission, and 2 locations within Father Joe's Villages. Local communities can expect 2 inches of rain or more through Saturday. That, according to the National Weather Service. We'll have more weather coverage in a bit, including our extended forecast. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria gave an update on the state of our streets today. KPBS reporter Melissa May says the city plans to start fixing more than just potholes.
Since the heavy rains of January and early February, our crews have filled approximately 17,000 potholes.
Mayor Todd Gloria says there are currently about 550 pending pothole complaints in the city.
We are going to continue to do what we've been doing, which is deploy extra workers on pothole duty, specifically 30 teams on weekdays, 11 on Saturdays, and 7 on Sundays.
Besides just potholes, on March 1st, crews will start resurfacing roads, grinding down the existing asphalt and replacing it with new asphalt.
In all, there'll be more than 200 street segments planned for overlay, ranging from one less than 1/10 of a mile to as long as 2.5 miles. Again, all around the city. This includes Division Street in the Valencia Park and Encanto area.
Gloria also wants to update the city's street preservation ordinance, changing it so both private and public utilities must return the road to the same or better condition after their work is completed. Gloria also wants to complete a street condition assessment, which has not been updated since 2016.
They will begin collecting fresh data on all 2,800 miles of roads of city streets beginning on March 1st and complete their work sometime this fall. The results from this survey will give us updated and accurate picture of the state of our city streets and help us to refine a long-term pavement management plan.
A one-year agreement has also been made with private sector electricians to address the backlog of over 5,900 streetlight complaints. And
by this summer, we will begin repairs on an estimated 175,000 square feet of sidewalk in 1,450 separate locations and communities across the city.
If you have a street concern in your neighborhood or see one out in the community, report it through the city's Get It Done app. Melissa May, KPBS News.
One of North County's longest-serving law enforcement officers is ready to call it a career. A statement from the city of Oceanside says Police Chief Fred Armijo will leave his position on April 1st. KPBS News has talked with him for a variety of stories over the years. Armijo grew up in Oceanside and started with the police department in 1989. A new development today in the case involving former SDSU football players accused of raping an underage teen. The court unsealed warrants showing police were looking for photos, videos, and location data on cell phones as well as social media. Besides the 3 men named in a civil lawsuit by the young woman, the warrants revealed that police were also looking into 2 other men as possible suspects. The DA's office declined to file charges in December, saying there was not enough evidence for a conviction. The civil suit filed by the now 18-year-old woman is still ongoing. Days after San Diego police announced arrests in a human trafficking operation, local leaders are calling for the repeal of a new state law that eliminated many criminal penalties for prostitution. But some organizations say they want proof the law is ineffective. Here's KPBS reporter Jacob Ayer.
Mayors, police, and anti-human trafficking advocates came together in San Diego this morning with one goal in mind: repealing Senate Bill 357, which decriminalizes loitering for the intent to sell sex. Marisa Ugarte had some strong words about the bill.
SB 357 is a smokescreen, and it was the beginning of a test to legalize prostitution all over.
How much? 100?
Earlier this week, a large sting operation led to over 48 arrests in San Diego and National City. Police say 8 teenagers, ranging in age from 13 to 17, were victims of a human trafficking operation. Advocate Shane Harris says the bill puts youth, and particularly those in foster care, at a higher risk for sexual exploitation.
Not only did it make it difficult for law enforcement to seek out and deal with human trafficking and prostitution rings, but it has made it difficult for children to be defended because for those who were perpetrating, it defended them.
But attorney Parisa Ijadi Magsudi says she wants to see the data that the bill is ineffective because it's intended to help people report exploitation and protect women, people of color, and the LGBTQ community from harassment by authorities.
That outcry just doesn't hold water. And the reason for that is we need to ensure that individuals feel secure in seeking help without fear of incarceration, without fear of a criminal record, without fear of having your kids taken away or losing your home.
Prosecutors say traffickers have become more brazen since the passage of SB 357. Ugarte worries the bill could lead to more people being trapped in sex work or sex trafficking.
Slavery is not work. Enslaving a child that cannot consent is a travesty of justice. A woman that is enslaved because of economic violence or gender inequality is slavery.
Local and federal prosecutors are reviewing the arrests for further action. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
A San Diego nonprofit that helps support young people who've aged out of the foster care system is celebrating its 20th anniversary. KPBS reporter Claire Strong went to meet some of the people whose lives it has changed.
Wells, his wife Diane Cox, and their adopted daughter Belén Gomez love spending time together.
Oh, no!
Things can get a little competitive, but the bond between these players is unmistakable. But Belén didn't have the best start in life. At the age of 1, her biological mother gave her to relatives to raise, and she spent the rest of her childhood in and out of foster care. In 2011, when Belén was struggling to adjust to university life, she reached out to Just in Time for Foster Youth, which is run by Don and Diane, for some much-needed support. Living in so many different homes as a child has left a lasting impression on her.
I think I'm somewhat of a perfectionist. I don't like making mistakes because I feel like I'm going to get judged. I don't like causing too much attention just because I feel like if I'm as minimal as possible, then I'll be able to fit in anywhere.
Diane helped launch the nonprofit, which supports 18 to 26-year-olds transitioning from foster care into adulthood in 2003. After years of instability, Diane wanted Belén to take charge of her life, so she taught her how to drive.
I just felt really strongly that I wanted Belén to have the independence that every woman, I think, should have so that she can make her own choices. We would go to Starbucks and have like a Frappuccino. That was like our reward after we would go out and practice driving.
Each state is different, but California allows young people to remain in foster care up to age 21. After that, though, they're on their own, which is why Don and Diane decided to take things a step further with Belén by adopting her in her 30s.
When you're in foster care, and she was in a number of different placements, the whole thing is if you make a mistake, you're out. And so having the burden of that is really difficult. So my whole thing was to try to make sure that she felt that I was going to be around no matter what.
While Belén's story is somewhat unique, Just in Time prides itself on being a family to the young people it supports. It connects youth with mental health services and even helps them with things like buying furniture and preparing for job interviews. Across town at the Just in Time HQ, I meet Nathaniel Martinez, who spent his childhood in a chaotic and toxic environment. He recalls the night he was taken into foster care.
I remember being up and watching a movie with my family when there was a knock at the door. And I remember my mother getting up and answering the door, and there were sheriff's deputies and 2 social workers there with her.
Despite all the challenges he faced, Nathaniel went to graduate school and now teaches young foster care adults how to manage their money and become financially literate. Many of the staff at Just in Time aged out of the foster care system themselves, like Samantha Harner. After years of suffering from low self-esteem, Samantha now helps others access things like therapy.
To be able to come in and just be like, I'm just having a horrible day, and for somebody to look at you and be like, I get it. And that's all that needs to be said. That's, you know, and then you just have this person who completely understands what you're going through, and they're there to comfort you.
Just in Time has supported thousands of young foster care adults since it launched 20 years ago. It now hopes to help other states set up similar programs. Back at the apartment, and the game of cards has wrapped up. Belén won. She's forever grateful for the love, support and dedication of Don, Diane and the Just in Time team.
I'm amazed at how much they give to everyone, and I learn from them every day. I think it's amazing. I think they're amazing people.
Claire Strong, KPBS News.
Mallory Swanson turning, and then the block comes in from Lauren. Comes back towards Alex Morgan! A special finish from Alex Morgan in stoppage time at the end of the half.
That is Team USA soccer star Alex Morgan, showing once again why she's one of the world's best players. Her goal helped the national team beat Brazil to win the She Believes Cup. The tournament was a warm-up for several national teams ahead of this summer's World Cup. Morgan is one of 3 San Diego Wave players on Team USA. The wait for Padres fans is almost over. Spring training begins tomorrow in Arizona. Legoland is celebrating a new season with in its own way, and they shared this video with us. Oh, that is very cool. The miniaturized Petco Park was built with 150,000 Lego bricks. It's part of a larger attraction called Miniland USA, showing famous San Diego landmarks. It will debut March 23rd. The Lego Petco Park even has its own working video board. Heavier rain is expected to arrive tomorrow night, and there are things you can do to prepare if you're in a flood-prone area. The county has sandbags available in a variety of locations, most of them at local fire stations. Some locations will have the bags pre-filled. At others, you'll have to fill your own. Now, here is Mark Mancuso with our forecast for the days ahead.
We're looking at a powerful storm headed this way to Southern California. It'll be with us especially Friday night and into Saturday. This is going to be a high-impact winter storm, low elevation snow, and we'll also see widespread rain. Some of that will be excessive, leading to areas of flooding. We're talking about this storm dropping right down the coast, and this is a cold storm. So we'll see heavy rain and snow developing here, very low snow levels. We'll see the winds increasing again. They could become damaging. And with the snow and the wind, there could be pass closures. So some significant disruptions to travel. We also see the potential for heavy rain leading to flooding. The flood watches are already out. Several inches of rain are expected. And up in the mountains, we'll be looking at heavy snow. Winter storm warnings are being issued. Snow levels rising up to about 5,000 feet, but then dropping down below 4,000 feet. And how much snow will fall? Look at our snowfall forecast. We're talking feet of snow. You'd see anywhere from 2 to 3 to 4 feet of snow, maybe even more than that, up around Big Bear Lake. Wow, we're talking 5 to 6 feet of snow. That's amazing. So tonight, well, we'll see a couple of showers in the metro. Temperatures will hover around 50 in San Diego. Surrounding areas cooler, upper 30s to lower 40s. Mount Lacuna, snow showers in the 20s. Here's the future satellite and radar. Showers around tonight and into tomorrow, but here comes the heavier rain. This band right here, that is going to set up shop over our area Friday night into Saturday. So tomorrow, we're looking at the showers. Temperatures will be cool again, 50s to near 60 degrees. And then as we take you through the weekend, downpours Friday night into Saturday. And then we'll see some drier conditions on Monday, but still cool. Inland sections, here comes the heavy rain. Downpours and chilly Saturday. Periods of sun, cool on Monday. Taking you up into the mountains, winter storm conditions, snow and wind. Don't want to be traveling anywhere near the mountains. This could be life-threatening over the weekend. And as we take you out to the deserts here too, be cool, and there could be some heavy rain coming in by Saturday. And for KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Mark Mancuso.
Many families have the ADHD drug Adderall in their home, at least when it's available. We're now several months into a shortage, and that's having an impact on kids and their schoolwork. Kristen Wynn has the story.
Clara Pitt says Adderall changed her life for the better.
It was just like as if anyone's worn glasses and you go around with dirty glasses, you get used to it and you don't realize that they're dirty. But when you clean them off, having that extra bit of clarity makes a world of difference.
And now she's one of many Americans dealing with the shortage. The FDA says one reason is that demand for Adderall has gone up from 35.5 million prescriptions in 2019 to 45 million last year. But some manufacturers have yet to clarify what issues they're having, and experts say that's part of the problem.
It's really difficult to be able to anticipate and let alone come up with meaningful solutions if you don't know what the problem is.
The FDA says it's helping however it can to increase supply, but pediatric psychologist Benjamin Fields says anyone looking for the drug should talk to their doctors.
There's other stimulant medications too, and they could talk about whether there's options that their medical provider thinks would be appropriate.
Clara did just that, but says it wasn't an easy decision, and for her, it's not the same.
We didn't want to try a new medication in the middle of my stressful senior year because it's a medication that affects your mind.
Chris Wynn, KPBS News.
Aside from the destruction to cities, the loss of human life is staggering in Ukraine. Clarissa Ward met a man who's stepping up to bring fallen soldiers back home.
On most days, Oleg Repnoy sets out before dawn, part of a volunteer group called Bulldozer that transports the remains of Ukraine's fallen soldiers back to their families. At a morgue in the Kyiv suburb of Boryspil, a group of servicemen are waiting to meet the body of Private Alexei Litvinov. It's somber work, and the men move quickly. Repnoy hands over the soldiers' personal effects. At the moment, we have 18 bodies, he tells us, and each family wants to get them as soon as possible.
So why do you do this work?
Few people are willing to do this work for free, he says. And not everyone has the psyche for it. They are lonely, seemingly endless hours on the road as he crisscrosses the country. Emblazoned across the side of his truck is the number 200, a military term for the transport of dead bodies that dates back to Soviet times. On occasion, processions of people line up on their knees to greet the truck, a mark of respect for the dead. At a morgue in the city of Dnipro, Repnoy stops to pick up more bodies. Overwhelmed by the number of casualties, the hospital has taken to storing them in a shipping container in the parking lot. As the men work, mourning relatives file past. Ukraine does not release information on how many of its soldiers have been killed in action. But Repnoy says that his daily load has soared in recent weeks as fighting has raged in eastern Ukraine.
Do you have any idea how many bodies you have taken back to their hometowns at this stage?
In this van, he says, around 1,000.
And now we're at a stage in the war where more and more Ukrainian soldiers are being killed. Are you seeing that?
At the moment, yes, he tells us. Right now, it's a large amount. 36 hours after Repnoy drops off his body, Private Litvinov is given a proper funeral in Boryspil. Killed in the Donbass region on February 11th, his mother Marina can finally say goodbye to her son.
How important was it to you to have his body returned so that you could give him this beautiful funeral today?
The main thing is to have him at home, not laying somewhere eaten by birds. You understand how awful it is when people just disappear, she says. We cannot change anything, but thank God he is here, and I can come to visit him. This is the reason Repnoy does this work. But seeing the family's grief is also incredibly painful. The hardest part is when you drop them off, he says, when there are relatives present to look them in the eye. It's very hard, he says. There's so much emotion, so many tears. But there's no time for tears tonight. Repnoy still has more bodies to deliver. And across Ukraine, many families are still waiting.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, a government report explores possible causes of the train derailment that led to a toxic chemical spill in Ohio. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Here's a look now at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom. With Friday being the one-year mark of the war in Ukraine, you can expect plenty of coverage from around the world by NPR's Morning Edition. This week's KPBS Roundtable focuses on California's drought and whether all these storms are helping and how much. That airs at 12:30 on KPBS Radio. And, of course, you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe family of companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit BillHowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.